Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're making Granny's Blackberry Cobbler. This is a super simple old-fashioned recipe, and it's even really easy to remember the recipe. 1 stick of butter plus 1 cup of sugar plus 1 cup of flour plus 1 egg equals 4 cups of blackberries. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 4. Super easy to remember. The only other thing you need is a little bit of vanilla, and you don't have to have that. I just really like it. Now we're going to start by greasing our dish, and I'm using like a 8 by 11, not a 9 by 13, because I want mine a little bit deeper. You can make this in a 9 by 11 that's a little bit bigger, but it's going to be more shallow. So that's just kind of a matter of preference, what you like. You can spray this pan if you want to, or you can put something else in it. I've just got me a little bit of soft butter here, and I'm going to take a paper towel and wipe that around so I don't have to dig it out from under my fingernails. You do want to put some kind of grease in your pan though, otherwise you're going to be soaking your pretty casserole dish for a week to get this off of it, because you're going to be baking these berries and sugar in it and it will stick. Now go ahead and turn your oven on and preheat it to about 375. And if your oven runs a little bit hot, you can do it at 350. If it runs a little bit cold, you can turn it up a little bit more. Once you've got it coated good, go ahead and dump your berries in it. Now the only real tricky thing, I guess, about cobblers is that you want to layer them correctly. You don't just mix everything up with a cobbler. So kind of put your berries in a pan and spread them out just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and put my vanilla right on my berries. And like I said, this is optional. You don't really have to do this, but I do like the flavor that it adds. And you want to splash them with, about a teaspoon or so. Just kind of mix it around in there a little bit. It'll scatter as it bakes. And we're going to mix these 3 ingredients up together. I'm going to go ahead and dump my sugar and my flour in there and kind of stir them together just a little bit. And we're going to melt this butter, so I'll get it melting. You want to melt it, and we're going to drizzle this over the top of the cobbler after we put this on it. Kind of stir your flour and your sugar together there just a little bit. It just makes it easier to mix up once you add the egg in it. And what we're making here is a crumb topping, kind of. We're going to mix the egg in and turn our flour and our sugar into crumbs. Kind of beat your egg up a little bit before you add it into your flour and your sugar. It just makes it easier. I'm using all-purpose flour in this, but if all you've got self-rising, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. And just sort of dump that in there and then mix it up until it turns all crumbly. I remember when I was a little girl, berry picking was a family activity. And I used to love to go berry picking. Now we'd complain because it was always hot and there was always bugs, you know, mosquitoes and ticks and just all kind of stuff. But it was something that we did as an extended family. It'd be my mama and a couple of my aunts, half dozen of my cousins or more. I guess sometimes there might have been as many as a dozen of us would go together. My granny. And we'd all go out pretty much from spring until late fall picking berries. We picked blueberries and strawberries and blackberries and raspberries. And we always used things like recycled milk jugs, which there wasn't a lot of milk jugs because my granny had a cow, but somehow they always managed to have milk jugs. I think people gave them milk jugs. And plastic buckets that food had come in and stuff. You know, we didn't go buy containers to berry pick in. We just kind of used what we had. But it would be an all-day thing, and it would be literally everybody in the family would gather up and go out and pick berries and eat them all day long. And then when we bring them back, Granny and my Aunt Dot, my mama, and maybe my Aunt Pork, and sometimes it was my Aunt Effie, but they'd gather together in the kitchen, and I'll wash the berries and clean them, wash what of them we didn't eat while we was picking them. And one of them would mix us up a cobbler, and it didn't matter, you know, what kind of berries it was. They'd mix us up a cobbler and stick it in the oven while they were still cleaning the berries and freezing them or making jams or jellies or whatever they were going to make out of them. We always got a fresh cobbler when we went berry picking. You want to get it pretty crumbly, kind of like sand, and it's getting there. If you get tired of using your fork, you can use your fingers. Just make sure you wash your hands first. You want it to, I've still got some lumps in here, you want it kind of look like cornmeal consistency, sort of. All right, now we're going to get our berries back over here. And just sprinkle this all over the top of your berries. And don't mix it in, just kind of pour it in and get it all over the top there. I remember one time, it's been years and years ago, wasn't long after me and Brett got married, I guess, I made a cobbler and I forgot. I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention, if I was distracted with the kids or what, but I mixed my butter in with my crumbles. Don't know why I did it, and it made like a batter, and I poured it on top of it, and I had a fit because, you know, berries, if you buy them, are expensive. If you pick them, it takes a long time to pick this many blackberries, and you end up with quite a few briar picks. So I was pretty upset because I thought I had messed up my berries and it wasn't even going to be worth eating. But if you happen to mess up and mix your butter in, it comes out all right. It's just not quite as crunchy. So anyway, let's get our melted butter, and we're just going to kind of drizzle this melted butter over the top of these crumbles that we made. And you don't want to mix it in. It will change the texture of it if you mix it in, but it'll still be quite tasty. So don't panic if you messed up and did that. You know how it is when you're a young woman and you're trying to take care of your family and stuff, and you think you've ruined everybody's favorite dessert, and blackberry cobbler is kind of one of those special desserts. But that's all there is to it. And we're going to stick it in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes, 375 degrees thereabouts. And you can sprinkle some sugar on the top of this, just like a tablespoon of sugar. It helps it brown a little bit, and I do that sometimes, and sometimes I don't. You can get that fancy dessert sugar, you know, the big, I can't even think what it's called right now, but the big grains of sugar that they use for putting on top of desserts, where you can actually see it, and that works too. But just plain old table sugar will brown it up real nice. All right, now let's put this in the oven for 30-35 minutes, 375 degrees. While we're waiting on our cobbler to get done baking, I want to share Luke 12:15 with you. And he said unto them, Take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not of the abundance of the things which he possesseth. You know, it is not, the things that make a man are not, or a woman, are not the things that they have. It's not in the abundance of the possessions, but it's in the abundance of the heart. It's in the things that we give. And what we can take with us, the true value of our life, is the things that we give away. The more we give away, the more valuable our life is to the people around us, even to people that we have never met. Because it is in the things that you give, not the things that you possess, where your value is placed in eternity. There's lots of stuff in the Bible about storing up your treasures in heaven and not here on earth, where things rot, decay, and mold and get covered in dust. And I want to thank every one of you who has taken the time out of your life to leave a kind comment or a prayer for Kirsten. Those of you who have gone to the t-shirt fundraiser and made donations, or some of you may have even sent cards to her through her church. If you have done those things, I truly want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Tomorrow, she will be going to see her son graduate from high school. And what you have done for her, the love that you as strangers have shown her, has probably done more for her mental and physical well-being than any medical treatment she has received. So you understand what I'm talking about and your true value and where you want to store your riches. But I thank you for it, and I know Kirsten thanks you for it. It really has meant the world to her. The little thank you that she recorded on the end of the t-shirt video, and if you didn't see that, I'm going to link that at the end of this video so you can watch that. But the little thank you that she recorded, she actually recorded that about 2.5 weeks ago, and the last 2.5 weeks have been really, really hard on her. So please continue to keep her in your prayers, and if you haven't seen the video about the fundraiser, please watch it and pray for her. Oh my goodness. Can you hear that sizzle? That looks and smells just like what we used to pull out of the oven after a long, hot, sweaty day of berry picking. It almost is good enough, well, it's good enough to make all the chiggers and briars and scratches and thorns you pulled out of you worth it. You add this to a Sunday dinner, and I promise you they'll come back for dinner every time you cook it. If you're make you a meatloaf and blackberry cobbler to go with it, and your man will be your man for life. I want to thank you again for supporting Kirsten. She really is totally overwhelmed. She could not believe that so many people who did not know her had taken the time to show her such love and kindness. And the Hillbilly Kitchen truly is a special place, and it is a special place because of all of you. And it is a special place because all of you allow Christ to be a part of it, not just me. It's everyone who joins us here every time we bake up something yummy. If you haven't already, if you're not a part of the Hillbilly Kitchen, please don't forget to click like and subscribe before you leave. Share all of our videos with your friends, and until next time, remember to put God first.